Good afternoon, everyone. All right. So as I said prior to the previous one, we're here with about four of our portfolios in MLB. And next up, we're going to discuss Navy's logistics IT portfolio and the efforts that we're doing for the Navy and Marine Corps when it comes to some logistics. So what we have here to present to you today and to share our status is the technical director for PMW 200, which is the log IT team. So I'll bring Quinn up here, and again, we welcome questions. We have the mic over here, so please, we want this to be a little more conversational as we share information. We look to industry and our partners to help us deliver what's best for our sailors. Thank you very much.
Thank you, ma'am. Appreciate that. All right, let's get this microphone set up. Normally, I would love to walk back and forth across the stage. I'd have a presentation panel behind me that's not available here, so I'm going to stand in front of a podium and talk to you, the lucky people on my left, your right, get to see some of the slides. So I'll try to paint the picture for the people over here so you can see where we're going. There's a couple things we want to hit. The presentation talked about the what and the when, because I need to communicate what we're doing, because this is a huge chunk of the Navy's business, and we need to be partnered across the SysComs. And a lot of that is just the initial communication. We are doing so many things across so many different lines of effort, it is hard to keep it straight, and frankly, I don't want you to. I want you to know, oh, this is close to log space, I need to come talk to log. Because then we'll handle the complicated part of, okay, we're going to get you to a part of our solution path. We want to take the complicatedness out of this so that when you look at us and say, hey, I want to order one log IT, I'm like, yes, there you go. Here's your one log IT. You don't care about the details. You care that it works. You care that it gives you your business process. You care that it gives you results. That's what we want to do. But that still makes it a big space, and a lot of things are happening, and you actually want to know that things are happening. So I'm going to talk a little bit about what to expect, what we've done, and things to go look for. Please look for them, ask for them, try to keep us honest. We want to put out capability. We want to put out capability quickly. A lot of things are moving, but we also have to hold ourselves honest that we are revolutionizing how the Navy does business in this space. And so I'm also going to hit a lot of the new content here is a lot of the why. We're going to talk about some of the applications that go beyond the different teams. There's discussion at the general program level and for industry. Hey, here are ways, here's what we're doing, here's how you interact with us, here's how you get things that you need, here's how you get business, here's how you get content. But I'm also going to throw out there the why. What is the executive vision? Why does this matter? We like to talk a lot about what we do because that's easy, that's fun. I'm a technologist, right, in that sense. Everybody loves the code, everybody loves programming, everybody loves cool software, everybody loves the cool demos. I'm going to put a 3D ship up there, spin it around. Everybody's going to love it. But we don't do it for the 3D ship. We do it to drive the Navy's business forward. What is the Navy's business? In our case, one of the main things is readiness. So, if you're familiar with some of the threads down from the commander's intent, some of the things that we're pushing forward in, that's where we are driving, and that's some of the near-term things that we're targeting in 25 and how they interact with that. And that's important because this is also an area where we're saying, hey, there's a lot of opportunity. There's opportunity for individual groups inside the Navy because you might have a problem, you might have a need. We want to target that need. We want to show we can fix it. There's opportunity for industry because this is a space where we have growth and we have contracts coming out to help that. So, good stuff at the end. I'm not going to try to hold questions or anything like that. Please feel free, jump up. We can interrupt. I'll move it through. Make sure that we have time for the why at the end. And there is going to be some repetition, right? If you've heard me speak before, or if you have some familiarity with log IT. Part of this, though, is we got to get the message out there. So, repetition is key. Repeat after me. Log IT. What is Log IT? Log IT is 5 pillars of work. So 5 major programs that we have coming together. I'm going to pick this up and wander around with it. I know I can't help myself. So We have, in those 5 pillars, 3 transactional pillars. 1, analytics pillar, one that makes everything work in the background. What are the transactional pillars? That's the big business. That's the business where we do work, right? We have PLM, NMRO, and SCM. Design, maintenance, supply. This is where we do work. These are big transactional systems. These are where the sailors implement logistics. So that's great. Everybody's doing logistics. We got a bajillion, okay, 154, I think at current count, systems today that do those functions. We are consolidating down into 3 pillars and probably overall maybe a dozen or so systems at the end. You want to monitor those systems. You want to understand the business. So we're doing work. We're putting out content. We're putting out logistics. How do you know if you're doing the right thing? Well, that's where the analytic pillar comes in. We're routing all of the data together, centralizing it, giving you the opportunity to look across this entire broad portfolio and then make business decisions. This is that loop. What have we done? What did we do? Is that working? Now I want to make a change. Now I go back to my transactional system. That's great if you can make all of these systems talk to each other. And we love our vendors. We love all of the wonderful things people come up with. We love all of the various pieces of technology. It's great. There's a lot of great ideas out there. The ability to communicate with another corporate structure that is fully independent of you, not generally high on people's lists. So that's fine. There are some companies in that space that like to do that work. We're very interested in them, and we're pulling them all together. That's our 5th pillar. That's the I&I pillar, integration and infrastructure, so that we can pull all of this together, get the data to the place we need, the right data at the right place at the right time. So we take that, we make that a fun picture, right? Because we're going to put that on top of a carrier and put that on top of a fleet. This is that connection of 3 systems. Hey, we've got 3 major transactional systems. These exist on the shore. We use the cloud for that because it's convenient, because it's wonderful, because Don CIO told me I had a cloud first policy. Great. It's useful. Cloud, very useful. However, cloud on a ship, a little more difficult. A cloud in a battle space, a little bit more difficult. So we have to adapt. We have some disconnected operation sites. Those get pushed down to the various units, distributed, ground forces, ships, a whole bunch of other things. We'll just gloss that one over and not talk about those. But that's the intent. Centralized functions where we can, leveraging cloud where we can, pushing the value out to the edge where we can't leverage the cloud, having those edge nodes, collect the data, funnel all of the data back up, get the data back up, get the data in front of decision makers. So I'll talk more about data. We're going to spend a lot of time there. That's the overall vision. This is what we're doing, 5 major lines of effort, acquiring a number of systems to go get this done. So let's talk individually about each piece of this puzzle. So we have NMRO. NMRO is our program covering naval maintenance. It does work order management, it does scheduled maintenance, it does tag out and critical management, it does Metcal, a whole bunch of things in there. Does it do it all today? No. There's about 40 systems that do it today. We haven't replaced them all yet. We look forward to that, but that's not there today. We do a few things. We have had initial prototypes go out, so we've had a lot of learning, especially on ships and deployments. We're working on aviation, trying to find the right home for that deployment so that we can get the same learning there, because this is for all naval forces, afloat, ashore, in the air. NMRO, at its core, is we're tracking our maintenance. This is where we change the configuration of a system. This ability, and the Navy has a very long history here with its 3M process. We have a wealth of data. We have a wealth of knowledge. We have a lot of great things happening. We are pushing that forward and connecting it up and making it more efficient. And I think that is the biggest change. The biggest change isn't in NMRO. It's the fact that we are considering all of logistics as a single entity, which lets us say, I have a problem with maintenance. I don't solve that problem in maintenance in a maintenance system. We've historically done a lot of that, and that has led to a bunch of system creep and a lot of conflict with data and a lot of conflict with systems. coming at this from a log IT perspective, we can say, no, I don't need to solve that in maintenance. I need to solve that back here. I need to solve that in supply. I need to get better data. I don't need to force my edge maintenance node to demonstrate all of the data. I need to get the data in front of decision maker eyes. Let's go do that. Let's make a change. Circle it around. So what have we been doing with NMRO? As I said, we put out a initial offering on a US Navy destroyer. Learned a bunch of good things there. We have a couple areas that are working pretty well. We've got some updates that we want to make, so we're taking it back. That's mostly our plan for the next future. We're pushing some updates. We're improving on things we've learned. We had a couple modules, didn't work up to our standards, so we're going to take those back. We're going to recycle them. We're going to fix them up. We're going to make that happen. We are also looking for where is the aviation squadron that's going to do it. We learned a lot of things in our initial deployment on a destroyer. We're trying to make sure that those factor into the deployment for aviation squadrons. So picking the right place, getting the right information. Key learning effort there. So past that, we can talk going forward. There is notional plans. We've got a bunch of different things. LD2 is the next bucket of new work. It's pulling in a bunch of fixes. It's pulling in a bunch of things that we need for scalability. So that's where NMRO is entering. NMRO has seen what it needs to do. Now we're having conversations about, now how do I scale this? Because at the end of the day, we're going to have a couple installs, right? We're going to slowly start seeing it out. But all of this is growth to the point where we can aggressively scale the system. That is the biggest push right now, and that is the biggest push for log IT. We need systems that we can aggressively scale, because when you have 300-ish ships, give or take, you've got 460 aviation squadrons and distributed shore sites and things like that. That is a lot of locations that we have to put software. And there is a baseline mechanical feature of I have to go get software to that location. I've got to have the tools, I've got to have the method, I've got to have the content to get that out there to those users so that we can get this moved over. So that's a lot of our focus now. So you might not see necessarily a whole lot as we work on those intangibles, right? The enabler functions, to steal some of the agile lingo that we're trying to pull in, getting us to the point where we can start scaling and pushing that aggressively to different locations. So, talk to you now a little bit about NSCM. NSCM is enshrined in the NOS program. NSCM, we are focused on improving interactions with supply. How do we manage supply better? And one of the learning, as through some of the previous efforts here, supply is fundamentally coupled with finance. And so that was an area where we made some changes in the program. We are tightly coupled with the ERP program office. It's easy because both of our bosses are the same. So we only have to go one level up before we both get smacked if we do stupid things. Very convenient in this regard. We are working now. It's great that we're coupled. We are also trying to take advantage of the fact that we have two major program teams. We are going to push two major program efforts. And we're trying to find ways that we can both work relatively independently so that our schedules don't impact. Because as some of the people know, as you hit project management, the more things you pull in, now I have schedule constraints, the schedule constraints start stacking up, the timelines start accelerating out, and everything starts falling apart. We don't want that. We want to be able to put out content. We want to be able to have the teams push, both teams, push to the extent they can push, while we are coordinating the things that need to be coordinated in the back end. And that's why this is one solution, right? This comes up a lot. This is a unified solution. We don't need to worry about the very specifics of deployment. That's the major message. It is a unified solution. We are together, we are in lockstep, and when we deploy things because they're both working towards that same goal. So, yeah, that's what I'm talking about. We are going to disrupt that radio broadcast that's going on over there. If we're not doing that, I'm going to be a little disappointed. So, love it. So, where is this going? This is not something I was able to talk about before, but hey, we've got good news. We've got an NSCM schedule. We are moving out on this. We are pushing. So, what are we doing? We have contracts out there with our partners at SAP and IBM as our integrators. So we have made some decisions. Sorry, folks, contracts were closed for that now. However, stay tuned, more opportunities in the future. But we are going to go, as I said, we're going to go take content, we're going to push it out there, and we're going to try it. One of the major things, as we have learned, SAP brings a way of doing business. The Navy has a way of doing business. SAP software works best if you can use the way in which they do business. So this is the first step. What can we use? What can we leverage from the COTS software? And this is the thought process that we're continuing to go through. We have a number of large COTS vendors. We want to use the parts that they're good at. We want to use them as out of the box as possible because I'm paying y'all licensing fees. I want the updates. I want the availability. There is a massive chunk of work that GOTS systems have to do internally that I want to pay you to do that work so I can focus on the critical content. This is the new partnering strategy. This is the thought behind Title 10 2222. This is go leverage business for what business does well. Sure, the Navy's going to have special things, right? Southwest Airlines isn't dropping bombs out of their hangar bays. There's going to be some differences. There's going to be some things we add. But do they order a part? Does the part get shipped to them? Is the nature of ordering a part kind of universal? Yeah. Is the nature of how do I know what part is on what shelf kind of universal? Yeah, probably. So let's leverage what we can. And this is the first part of that. This is where we're doing prototyping. Let's figure out what we can move out on, what value we can gain, and let's demonstrate that we can gain this value quickly and start setting up this tempo of, okay, this is how we leverage COTS. This is how we make this useful for people. This is how we have a product out there. And then we're going to do that, and then we're going to cycle around, we're going to do it again, and we're going to do it again, and we're going to do it again. And then we're going to hit a point where we say, look, this is something that is useful for a sailor in a certain environment. And hopefully we have demonstrated repeated progress, and our customers agree. So, SCM, really excited that that's going out, really excited that we can announce things now. We're going to hopefully see a bunch of change and a bunch of growth here in the near future. I don't know if you're going to see it by the mid-year, but getting towards the end of the year, right? The first year is a lot of the target for where they're going with this. So, PLM. PLM is a big thing. PLM manages data, design data of a system, combines that data into appropriate structures, and then does configuration management of that data. Because it makes maintenance way easier if you know what you're maintaining and you have taken care of the technical data, the design, the drawings. There's a lot of cleanup and a lot of things that we can do to make large quantities of the fleet's life better if I have accurately managed my configuration data. I don't have a question of what part to order. I've leveraged Team Center to tell me what part I have to order because it's already propagated in there and it's already been approved by the people doing the design. If I'm doing maintenance on a part and I don't have to search for what the appropriate technical publication is to go do that maintenance because it's loaded in Windchill and we are using it and it's there and it's propagated to the edge. So now I take the guesswork out of it for the sailor on the edge because we've appropriately managed our data. This is the big win from the PLM system. The PLM system can write our configuration, can write our data problems up front. It's going to be painful because we have to sift through. The Navy is wonderful. We've got decades of data. Some of that data is an off-center scanned PDF hidden in a drawer somewhere. There's always, as we do these updates, bringing more data to the front, using more data to make decisions, we're going to have to trudge through that. This is going to be painful. I'm just putting it out now. I want to break my head against that wall because I am confident in the value down there. We do this. I want to do this one last time. We do this now. We get our data lines right. We get the value out of these downstream systems. So this is that mission on PLM. Where are they working right now? The big thing, drawing ingestion. I'm going to go ahead and shine some shade on myself here. We don't have drawings broadly in the Navy correctly attached to the engineering design. I've got an Excel spreadsheet of what I think the configuration is. I've got a pile of drawings. I've got 35 different ID fields across half a dozen legacy systems that I have to use to match these things together. No, this needs to stop. So what we're doing, this is some of the effort. This is why ingesting drawings, not particularly hard, not particularly slow, but I have to build that structure. I have to get the data in, and this is why we're pushing our heads into the data. So the ingestion, trying to get the drawing set, that's for both of our two PLM systems that we're operating on now. Get the drawings in, get that attached to the system design, get it so that people can use it, and then we can manage it, and then we can go forward in the future. Future programs are going to have it great because every vendor has their own PLM system, and that's perfectly fine. We're not trying to supplant the vendor's PLM systems because this is how you do engineering design. You do it in a PLM system because that manages your technical data. Great. The Navy's going to be responsible for that for long term. That's what we've learned. So let's set ourselves up. Let's bring the Navy up to the point where all of our business partners have been operating for the last 20 years. Let's do that. Let's leverage this. Maybe we can even do it on an electronic exchange basis, so you just deliver directly to the system and then everything works well, you know. We'll get there. We'll get there. Looking forward to it. We've already had a lot of movement. PLM is, as you notice, if you can see the screen, PLM is on its like 12th LD at this point. PLM is in production. PLM is in operation. We are now in the phase of trying to aggressively scale this. So this is an element where we are now trying to turn our focus. Drawings is one of the last big pieces. Drawings hits a lot of customers. We are going to be aggressively trying to get PLM operations to as many customers as we can because they're going to teach us things and we're going to learn things and then we're going to incorporate them and add to the system and make everything better. So that requires the data to move around between all of these different pieces. So once I get the data right, now I've got to get the data places. I&I, the big selling feature of I&I. I&I is a data mesh created from multiple data fabric technologies. There's your Gartner words of the day. You can say boo Gartner, you can say yay Gartner. We can flog them here. So what does that mean for everyone who's like, okay, technologists, please give me actual words. We are trying to connect data at that noun name definition level. Some people say, hey, we're managing ontologies. Some people say, there's your ontology buzzword. You got it. You got me to say it. We are trying to make sure that when we give you data, we are giving the same data element from the same authoritative source to the place that needs it. This is a data in flow architecture. We are not doing in process a dump data lake, have it stir around a little bit, move everything, extra databases everywhere. No, this is designed to be a much more in-flow system because we're trying to move the little pieces of data from their authoritative sources to the place that needs that data so that they can execute their next transaction and move on. We don't want to save data. We don't want to replicate data unless we have to. We don't want to have to reconcile data unless we have to. The less we do that, the better and smoother all of this works because we've all had that experience of now I have two data sources, neither one of them is declared authoritative. What do? You get two outputs. The outputs don't match. Now what do I got to do? Now I waste a whole bunch of hours going through both of them and it's like, well, this disagrees and we all make those wonderful spreadsheets and they're highlighted different colors of this is there and then we got to go investigate which side is right. I don't want to do that. I want to get out of that because that isn't delivering value. So this is why we have an entire team, an entire pillar of work dedicated to solving this one core problem, the right data at the right time to the right place. It is helpful in that regard to talk about I&I in terms of services, right? They are a support organization. They don't directly serve the customer. They serve all of us who serve the customer. They let us do our job well. They allow the customer to get the results from the system. So program integration, data transformation, data transport, that's their bread and butter, the top three things. They cover a few other things. They are currently covering our mobility integration. Great news, PEO Digital is helping out in this space. So this is less work that we have to do poorly and more work that the right people can do correctly. Thrilled with this. We are absolutely ecstatic to be partnered with them for this. That was, I'm not just, blowing smoke up Lou's ass, right? Like this is a thing that was a huge problem. This was a huge burden on the team, and we're thrilled how quickly the Navy came together on this to go push a solution. So fantastic. We look forward to a lot of work there. And again, we're still standing by, right? Because you need an integrator, you need a partner, you need a help, right? We're not throwing everything over the fence. The team's been working this problem, the team's familiar with these problems, the team is there to help integrate the problems. And now we get to leverage a whole nother PEO to bring that pressure to actually get solutions out there so that we're all not trying to do it itsy bitsy. So where is that? One of the big things, so some of the elements, right? And this is where I say shout out to industry. I&I is a source where we are doing a lot of evaluation of what the technical things are in our tech stack. So if you play in this space, we are very interested in talking to you. And we have been talking to you all week, and we're going to keep talking to you. These are some of the areas that we're working on in 25, right? We're very interested in solutions. We are constantly, because this is a complex area, because this is a difficult area, we are constantly reevaluating our tech stack, trying to keep it pushed forward to the edge of what can be done. We need to better instrument our pipes. It's like if you're doing a cyber audit. What's the first step of a cyber audit? Let's get my inventory, because if you don't know what you're working with, there's no way you can actually manage security of a system. Same vein. If I don't know how my data moves, it's hard to manage how my data works. So one of the sub-teams is focused on how do we manage our data? How do we sense it as it's going across our network? Another team heavily focused on that data mesh implementation. How do we really bring out the value of the data mesh? So we're doing a lot of the core work to go make sure we understand the data. And we've got hundreds of legacy systems that all have subtly different understandings of data. We are going to start chewing through those so that we can get out and we can go make this situation work in the future. These are a couple big projects. These are areas I also have to throw out there. The usual integration with enterprise services. We're looking forward to when NIS has their DDoS solution out there. We have been sitting. We're ready. We're very interested. We need that because we deploy on edge nodes. Like, hey, we need that DDoS solution. We love them. They're great partners. They're constantly communicating with us. So we're ready to jump on. We're looking for other opportunities as they get bandwidth, as they move past all of our financial NFR mitigation and targets right now. So maybe the PLM system will be able to get spun up and covered by them shortly. Whole bunch of things. We're ready. And then cross-domain architecture. So I'm going to take my 2 seconds of being a networking nerd and say, look, the log IT architecture, I didn't put that in there because nobody cares about the architecture except a few small of us, and you can call me and I'll pull up my laptop and we'll have great conversations. Here's the piece that matters for everyone else. We are building a Mills architecture. What is a Mills architecture? It means multi-independent layer security architecture, which means we are going to deploy the product suite you see, the product suite you hear about. We intend to deploy that at the classification level of need, so you can work at the classification level that matters to you. Get you the products, get you the tools, get you the understanding, and then if we need to move classification levels, we move at the edge of the process. So we get as much of your business process in one domain space as possible, and then move to the next domain space, and then continue on with your business process. This is going to put a lot less traffic on the network. We're not moving up and down a lot. We're not pushing a lot of security things. We are trying to reduce our cybersecurity headaches, right? It gives cybersecurity better ways to manage the information because now I have universal policies that I can start applying across a broad swath of stuff, and I don't have all of these exceptions that I'm trying to push through. So I have the space. I do giant servers. We do cloud storage, right? Adding a server is really easy. I don't need to get fancy. I don't need to get creative. I need to do the thing that works reliably all the time. And so that's the design factor in. However, as we said, there are some things that need to cross domains. We're doing it. We're looking at it. We're finding elements. We are trying not to be afraid of it. It takes money, right? Everyone knows it takes money. It takes effort. Cross-domain solutions aren't necessarily easy. They are necessary. We are not afraid of that. We are going to push through with that. So, another area. Maybe that's of interest to certain people in the room, government or industry. Now let's talk about why we put all of this together. We're moving towards that y-axis. This is the data analytics portion. This is the logistics IDE, LIDE. I didn't name it. I don't like the name. Oh well. I love the product. What is this? This is taking all of the data sources and we're doing consolidation. Now, you say, Quinn, are you going to just move a whole bunch of data around and change? No, I don't want to do that. Moving data is painful. Moving data is expensive. Moving data doesn't get us anywhere, especially when I'm just going from one data lake to another data lake or one database to another database. I'm trying to avoid doing that as much as possible. So the LIDE is based on existing systems that we have today. What is the thing we're adding to this? We are integrating all of this with Jupyter, and we are managing the data so that the correct data, the authoritative data, gets to the place that it needs to operate at, all the way up to the dawn level in Jupyter. So you don't have to think about it. You don't have to go chase down the different pipes. We're managing the pipes, we're managing the data flow. You are getting the best data to the analytic environment that we have available. And as we make better data available, it's going to the same place. It's connected to the same tools. So you just get better data by being a customer and not asking for anything. It just gets better as we go through. So that's the two wings, I would say, of the LIDE architecture. The major transactional systems are all flowing. We've got 4 sub-hubs where we're clustering our data to get it down to. There's a maritime, there's an aviation, there's an MPI space, and there is a supply space. So we're going to cluster the data into these spaces. That gives us to manage it, mechanically manage it. But here's also the value. Now the CDOs who want to have their data steward role have the data. They have the control. They see the data flowing. The ability to execute that data steward role now becomes very easy because they can see the data that's available. They can say, hey, this is what I want, this is what I want, this is the authoritative source, this is not, and we do the IT to go make it happen. So we are supporting the business itself to improve the data. We're exposing that. We're making it visible to people so they can see what they have access to and they can use it. We're setting up the spaces where, do you want to do some data science? We can bring in a data science tool suite. Do you want to do some AI, ML, creative development work? Well, the hardest part of all of that is, if we only had the data. How many projects are like, oh, they spend the first 3, 6, 9 months of the project just trying to get the data? That's a waste of value for the leadership. It's a waste of value for the team. You're not getting prototyping out there. We are going to fix this unsexy root problem of just get the data to the right place so people can go do the cool things. That's what we want. So I say I'm laying sewer pipe and electrical and water lines. I don't build the theme park ride. I'm excited when the theme park ride comes out, but I'm going to go make sure you have working toilets at the theme park. So this is how we broke that down. We've divvied up work, and this is one of the areas the LIDE was funded as part of 25. Haha, funding joke. We do have money flowing. It's going to existing design teams. We've really been able to leverage things the Navy has been doing here. We've divvied up the work. We've divvied up the programs. across the different design teams, and we're saying, okay, this is basic Sun Tzu, right? Manage an army like you manage one person. We divvied up the work. We've got 4 sub-hubs. Each one has areas underneath it. They're providing the plans of, okay, this is how I'm rationalizing. We're making sure to funnel the needs down so that they understand what the leadership is. And that way I have a team to turn to when leadership says, hey, I need to solve that problem. We say, okay, where do we think we get the data? We pull the elements, the existing things off the sheet. Okay, tasker, go. Go implement the pipeline. Manage it so that we're building it long-term. We're building it once and it will grow with the system. So this is I have briefed this slide before, and it's coming out with our implementation strategy. I've gone through most of what this says, so I won't, again, read it or tie into it, but the thing it said was, and more to come in 25. Well, what's to come in 25? This is what we're working on in 25, right? Hey, we got money. Hey, the subdomains are stood up. Hey, we've got a list of targets for the next couple quarters. So looking down there at that list, rubbing my eyeball on the screen so I can actually read things. Whole bunch of different interesting pilots out there. If you're working one of them, great. I'm thrilled. If you're not working one of them and you have a pilot that you want to work, very interested. Let's get you in our hopper. Let's get you in that chain so that we can start sucking you in and providing value. And sucking the data in and providing value. That's why this is the why. What is the why? The why is readiness. So, what is one of the ways that we can deliver for the Navy? Well, Log IT is responsible for the ES and O pillars of Pistone. So, this is what we do today. We have a bunch of system exchanges. We move data around. We have data on class. We have data classified. We move it up there. We pull it together. We push it forward. We've got a bunch of ways to go provide insight and dashboards and everything like that. This is not a fast process. This is not necessarily a connected process. This is a process that gets things done because the Navy has a culture of getting things done. We can do better. So this is our focus here. This is the why. How do we help CNO's vision? How do we help Fleet Commander's intent? Well, we're going to be improving the readiness pillar. Some of the consolidation, some of the systems, the LIDE is consolidating the pipelines to go get the data to a place where it is usable faster so that we can get that data in front of the eyes of decision makers and reduce the amount of time they have to spend going and chasing random phone calls or asking their staff to go research things. We have the data. We just get the data to the place where it's usable. And so some changes. Touching a lot of systems. We don't control the entirety of the readiness pillar. We have to work with our partners. So I said we only cover 3 of the 7, 8 some pillars in Pistone. But we're going to deliver those pillars and we're going to deliver them better because that's going to give better insight. That's going to give better action. This is the space. And where can you work on that? Well, if you connect up to the LIDE, now you have access to all of this data. Can you provide better insights for command? Can you provide better insights for the planners and the programs? I hope you can. And if you want to, and you want to sell that to the Navy, this is how I support you. This is how I get you the data. So this is the vision. This is the tie. This is where we're going. And this is why a number of you've probably heard the presentation, right? Start with why. So yeah, call back to the TED Talks because everybody loves TED Talks. Why am I ending with the why? I'm ending with the why because we are building IT systems, but this is a joint effort. This is the why we're supporting. I am ending on it so that you can start with it. So this is where we're pushing. This is where we're going. Here's your start. Here's your why. Help us realize our why. How can you do that? Hey, we've got some contracts out there. I'd love for you to go talk to Dr. Sean Zhang. Get some information on the contracts. These are spaces where you can go get business with us. It's all above board. Point you to the right places. Point you to the right sources. Keep everything kosher and above board so I don't manage that. Some of this is out there. People have taken things. Hopefully you've shaken his hand. Hopefully you've gotten his card. Are there any questions? for the vision of Log IT. There's a microphone over there. Everyone can stare at me. That's fine. Awesome. I appreciate it. Thank you all.